What up, young slumlords and ladies? This is Jake Lapp, and welcome to the Young Slumlords podcast, where me and Caleb Henshaw talk our shiz and hopefully help spark the idea for finding your financial independence in this paycheck-to-paycheck world.
Thanks for coming on the show for sure. You know, it's really cool to have different perspectives on, especially someone more in the real estate focused business, like where you're actively dealing with people, getting them houses. You know, it's a lot of a higher up perspective on the real estate investment than just, you know, being in the deal yourself. You know, you only do so many deals yourself, you know, unless you're like really up there. So yeah, it's really cool to have you on. So yeah, definitely give us a rundown, give us your background on how you got started. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, so for me, I think like a lot of people came across Rich Dad Poor Dad. That kind of kick-started it for me. My story with that is we were actually visiting friends, and it was down in the Carolinas. It was a Marine, so we were at one of the Marine bases, or local to one. And ironically, a kid just came out of nowhere. I had no idea who this kid was, just a friend of a friend, and he's just talking about this Rich Dad Poor Dad book. I'm like, what is this crap? What is it? Blah, blah. I didn't think much of it. But then I kind of stumbled across Bigger Pockets, and this is, back in like 2012, around that time frame. And I kept hearing the book again. I was like, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I'm like, okay, I got to go check this thing out. So I picked up the book, read it, and yeah, it's all history. You know, just kind of parlayed from one thing to the next. I started getting hooked at like, okay, I need to find investment properties. I wasn't huge into stocks. Ironically, my dad, he's very much in the stock market. He loves that. That's his forte. That's what he specializes in. That's what he likes. It worked out well for him. But I just like that idea that, real estate is something you have more control of yourself. You can kind of dictate what's going to happen. Force the appreciation. It's a lot more
hands-on.
So,
yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yes. Right there. Yep. So I correlated with that. I had a nice meaning to everything that was going on with Rich Dad Poor Dad, and really started focusing on real estate investing.
So what was going on in your life? What was going on in your life at this point? Like, what were you doing for work? Like, how was your family situation looking? Like, that backstory too.
This is really young. So my wife and I were engaged at that time. Kids weren't in the picture yet. When I first started diving deep into real estate and trying to get my mind around it, I was all over the place. Was I going to be a wholesaler? Was I going to be a realtor? What was I going to do? Was I going to do fix and flips? So that part of the story, yeah, it's really early on. We didn't have much. It was just work and, saving every penny, making sure we're making smart financial decisions, not overspending. Went on a couple of vacations here and there for fun type of stuff, but really nothing elaborate. We weren't ever into like fancy things or anything like that.
What were you doing for work?
So, I don't know if you heard that. Those are my dogs. 2 Shiba Inus. I got 4 kids. They'll come into the story later. For work, yeah, I was installing floors.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. And I always just like to mention that because it's like, I'm not some financial guru. I'm not from Wall Street. I'm not from, I'm an everyday person here that literally installed floors to purchase multifamilies.
I'm sure all your rentals got some really nice flooring in them then. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So once you got brought onto the process, you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, you saw how successful it can be building your wealth. What were your next steps there? Like, how did you take the dive?
Yeah. So started doing more research. At that point, me and my wife kind of made the decision. We got married. And then we were out looking for houses. I got my real estate license around the same time. And from there, so as a realtor, one of the main reasons I got my license is because it was difficult connecting with realtors that kind of understood investing. Not that I did by any means at the time. And I'll get into that a little bit later as well, because my first deal, it was a blessing for what we learned, but it was just not a deal at all. So we're doing that. We're kind of, we're getting our license, getting married. That all happens. And then we go find our investment property, and we would end up being a single family in North Jersey, which, if you're familiar with the state, we have high taxes. It's not a rumor. It's the truth. Found out the hard way that it really is difficult to keep a single family as a buy and hold investment. And, diving deeper onto the forums on Bigger Pockets, I ended up meeting up with some more people on there that introduced me to systems and models that are successful for investing. So we ended up going towards the multifamily route. So at this point, we have a single family. Our first son is born, and we're kind of renovating the property just to get a little bit of equity into it so we can sell it and eventually move out and buy a multifamily.
That's cool.
So when you sold it, then was it a bad deal? Did you lose money on it, or did you break even? Did you make money? How was that first deal?
Good question. So this is how much of a newbie we were. I can't give you the exact number because we weren't tracking anything. So we weren't at that level yet. We knew not to spend money and go crazy, but we still weren't at that level of hey, let's track everything we do. So I don't have the exact numbers. I do know that we walked away with liquid cash, which was awesome. We did acquire a tenant during that deal. It was a friend of ours. So our very first tenant, we had a buddy living in one of the bedrooms, a good friend of ours. So we had a little bit of money coming in there. And then most of the work we did ourselves. We did a lot of the renovating. That's really where my first bathroom renovation was. First kind of half kitchen, I should say. Didn't do a full gut or anything, but painted the cabinets, new countertops, new backsplash, and then another bathroom upstairs in that property. And yes, we put some flooring in. So all in all, we walked away with about $25,000 liquid cash. But when you run the numbers on that, we were still paying a mortgage predominantly out of our pocket. We were still putting money into the renovations. Then if you want to correlate time spent doing stuff, but
of course, yeah.
So probably all in all, break even, I would say. But it was nice, learning experience, getting our heads around this is what it's going to take, getting the mindset of it all, and then having that liquid cash.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So then going back, you introduced me to Darren, who is a guest on Bigger Pockets, one of their earlier episodes that, really it was one of the first ones that I saved when I started doing that, because it was duplexes and small multifamily, that's for me. And, he's talking about North Jersey, which is right by, not too far from us. So it wasn't this far out thing. And I remember listening to that. Was he involved in your process in the beginning stages at all there, or did you guys meet later?
Oh, all the way. He's been a major influence in my life, Darren Sager. Absolutely influential. He was definitely one of the first people I met on Bigger Pockets, introduced me to the strategy, really put it into a perspective to gain clarity. So we had a path in our heads of where to go, how to make this work. So yes, he's been there. He still is today, someone I go to. I was actually just at one of his properties over the weekend. So major influence, and definitely someone that I look up to in the real estate world and on Bigger Pockets.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you got that first deal out and you got 25 G's in your pocket, liquid, what did you use? Where did you go after that? What were the next steps?
Hawaii, man. Yeah. So somewhere around, 25K, something like that. I don't want to say the wrong number, but it's around there, just in case someone's fact checking me. But, we moved back in with my parents. So we had one kid at that moment, my first son. My wife was pregnant at the time.
Wow.
So second was on the way. And that's kind of my message, especially on Bigger Pockets in the forums, is we started getting our mind around all this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of limiting beliefs out there, you can't invest with kids, do it before you have children, whatever it is. It's not smart. Or maybe it's true, but at the end of the day, you can do it. And I always want to make that clear that no matter your scenario, not just kids, no matter your scenario, you can do this. We just happen to do it with 4 kids and 2 dogs. We started with two children. We had our third, and we literally had our fourth and our second property. So,
wow.
There's pregnancies, there's a lot going on. It's not just 4 kids come and go, my wife moving around pregnant and stuff like that. Not easy, but she was committed. So there's a lot to dive into with that.
Were you working full time during that process of doing the investing and having the kids? That's crazy, man. That's
still installing floors.
Oh yeah, yep. At that time, I was definitely installing floors. So by the time we got our first official investment property, our first multifamily, I was installing, but more so project managing, but still 7 a.m. to 3:30, some days in New York City, some days
Wow.
South Jersey. I mean, I was commuting anywhere from Philadelphia to West Point, New York, which is pretty far,
Yeah.
not crazy, but it's far up there. So wide range. Yeah. So I guess maybe backtracking a little bit, we sold the single family, moved back in with my parents, my wife's pregnant. We closed on our first multifamily, which ends up being a duplex in Union County, New Jersey, about 35 minutes west of New York City. And my son was born that week.
Wow.
Nice.
I always forget if it's before or after, but so it's just to get a perception of everything, definitely a lot going on, but we found a way to make it work. My wife was on board, which is huge. If you have a spouse, whoever it is, you got to make sure they're on board, because if she wasn't, none of this would be possible.
We had a whole episode on
Yeah, that
the
topic
importance
alone.
of that, because it is like one of the biggest things.
I'm sure you could talk for days on that subject
Yeah.
alone.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yep.
So much easier, and I have to have a fight. Like, you do one thing wrong, because mistakes are going to happen.
Yep.
Anyone listening to this, if you think it's just going to be smooth sailing, you're absolutely wrong. Mistakes will happen. It's just whatever you make of them, you can learn from them, make sure they don't happen again, or you could call it a failure and go quit. That's your choice. But I'm out here to say mistakes are going to happen. And if you've got someone that's not backing you up, those mistakes are a lot worse. So get them on board, and you'll figure it out together, and you'll look back at it and say, wow, that wasn't a mistake at all. That was actually a miracle. And now I'm going to teach my clients, for example, what happened to me. And it might not be smart if you do that.
So
they're not really mistakes.
with this first multifamily, what were they asking? What was your thought process, and like, how did you think that now this house that's on the market, I'm assuming, how is that going to be a good deal?
Cool. So it was on the MLS. At the time, this is 2015, and guess what? The bubble was about to burst, and you shouldn't buy any properties. And
it literally always is.
Bad market.
Yeah.
So it was pretty crazy back then.
Yeah.
I guess the old saying is, when's the best time to buy? 5 years ago or today?
Yesterday or today.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yesterday was the best day.
Yeah. So no matter how you say it, it's true. It's going to be 5 years from now. So if you're out there looking, you're hearing this story, oh, it's not good to buy. In 5 years, you're going to look back and say, damn, I wish I bought that.
Yep.
So 2015, the same story was going on that we're hearing today. 495 was this property. That's what we purchased it for, is listed at, I think, 4 or 510, something like that. So we got them come down a little bit. Just let me know. How do you want me to dive deep into it?
So it's listed for 510. You negotiate down, and you're representing yourself at this point. You're your own agent.
On this transaction, it was me and Darren.
Okay.
So he guided me through it. He got me, he showed me,
Awesome.
trade and everything like that.
Was this your first transaction then? Like, that you didn't help anyone else, or you had been helping people?
I was helping people on a residential level, but I ended up switching brokerages at that time. So this is my first deal with KW at the time.
Okay. So now listed for 510, got it for 490 or 495?
495.
And you estimated your mortgage payments, your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. What was that number compared to what it's going to rent for? I'm assuming you guys were living in one unit to start?
Yep.
So was it cash flowing while you lived there? Those kind of things. Like, what was that thought process before you put the offer in?
Okay. So in our market, turnkey's possible. It's very rare. You can do it and I guess be all right. If you really want to be successful in this and really get what we call a cash cow, or a very successful property that's getting a little bit of cash flow, you got to be willing to do the work.
Definitely.
So this property, it was a gut. We needed to get in there and do some business, put some work into it. So that's what we ended up doing. No tenants were there when we purchased, so that was good. What we ended up doing is living on the floor and actually acquiring a short-term tenant. Really nice guy. I'm still in contact with today. We always reach out to each other, especially on the holidays. He sends me text messages. Gentleman, he was living down there in the big, just around the corner for work. It was super convenient. And I was just renovating the second and third floor every night and getting it ready so we can get tenants in there as soon as possible. This property, when we purchased it, it was an illegal quad. So I always like to tell the story because it's super cool. If we kept it as an illegal quad, each unit would have rented for around probably $1,300 per unit. So we ended up converting it back to a duplex, and meaning we only we're about 2 tenants instead of 4 tenants, and we actually get more rent than having it as an illegal quad. So now we have a legal property getting more and only 2 tenants.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Worked out pretty cool in that aspect.
And so you're in North Jersey, which, like, to anyone who's not familiar, it's the overflow. There's a lot of money there of people now going to the city every day, to New York City. So that's like your main attraction. I remember Darren talking about that on his podcast, like that he was looking close to the bus stops. He was looking close to all that stuff, where now you're putting a nice house in the suburbs, quick drive to the city. So like that's the people that you're marketing to and that you're trying to get on. And how was that pretty seamless? Was that it makes sense, just talking about it, but in reality, did it work out that way?
Yeah. So, I mean, this location, literally the end of the street is a bus stop, which goes to either Newark Penn Station, and then I believe another one that goes directly to New York City. And then in the center of town, there is a transit hub that is direct line transit to New York City, train and direct line bus.
Wow.
So that's about a 13-minute walk from the location of the property. So super convenient. In terms of getting it ready, what we end up doing, you really want to cater to your market. We put the work in and we made it nice. We did the recessed lights, we did the hardwood floors, we did some awesome things to make sure the unit was luxury. We made sure to put the washer and dryer in the unit instead of it being one in the basement where everyone would have to go down to the basement. Yep. Now we put it in each unit, so there's no need to see, tenants need to pass each other or anything like that. Quartz countertops, new cabinets, updated all the bathrooms. This unit ended up being a 4-bedroom, 2-bath.
What did that
rented in about a year?
What was that rehab like? What did that, like, when you did both units all together, what did that cost you at the end of the day after paying for, I don't know if you did contractors, if you did all the work yourself, but like what was that grand total at the end?
Gotcha. A little bit of both. So anything I need, to be done by professionals like electric, plumbing, I had professionals come in and do that. A lot of the stuff I wanted to do myself just so I could learn it. I never really did sheetrock before, so I did that myself. Obviously, flooring.
Did you learn to not want to do that anymore? Sheetrock?
Yeah, I don't know. At this stage, I do some, because right now, we're in a live and fix and flip, so I still do a lot of the work myself, but it's more so like family projects.
Yep.
So, but it varies, depending on, I guess, where I'm at, but I am very busy now, so it is a little bit difficult to do the work, but I still enjoy it because it is fun. It's kind of like some people like to mow the grass because it's relaxing. Well,
absolutely.
I like to put it in a bathroom because it's relaxing.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. What was that? At the end of the day, what after paying for all that rehab, hiring out those contractors, putting in all those fancy floors and recessed lights, what kind of grand total were you looking at there?
For about $20,000. And believe it or not, that's on the low side.
Definitely.
But that's just for the one unit, though.
Okay.
And then some things overlapped, like heating systems and stuff. But still, we did those separate as well. So it was about 20,000 grand total. Countertops, cabinets, heating system, plumbing, electric, and then the flooring. I got paid cost on that. I installed myself.
Nice.
How did you
stuff like that? How
did you finance it? So this wasn't your first property. You couldn't take advantage of like the first time home buyer, but we're 15% I think is down payment minimum for a duplex.
Yeah.
Is did you do that and then
not exactly.
Okay.
15%, that is like an urban legend myth, and lenders talk about it. A lot of people with bigger pockets talk about it. I don't talk about it. I did 10% down, and you're still able to do your owner-occupied financing on these deals,
right?
Because even though they call it first-time homebuyer loans, you're still able to have access to them as long as your previous property has enough equity or you don't own a previous property. So being that we sold our last residence, lending
that
looked
makes
at us
sense.
as first-time home buyers.
That makes sense.
And at the time, it was a 10% down conventional loan.
Wow.
Awesome.
So right now, they still do things like that, but they don't call it 10% conventional. They have a different name to it, but it runs the same way. I always love to recommend it to clients, anyone that qualifies. And this is one of the coolest aspects of this deal is the fact that we had our down payment, which was $50,000. We had PMI, which was about $350, $300 a month. I forget exactly. Long story short, we dropped the PMI once we got an appraisal. So when we were done with the unit, the PMI dropped away because we appraised with enough equity. But we essentially paid ourselves the money because we took out a home equity line of credit of $80,000. So we got rid of the PMI, but replaced it with the HELOC, which essentially meant we were only in this deal for about $20K.
Was that HELOC what you used to rehab the place?
No, we ended up using that for our next property.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit more about the HELOC? Like the specifics of it. You know, I've heard about it, and
Well, they're great because they typically are lower interest. Obviously, there's no taxes involved because that's already escrowed into your primary mortgage. So really, especially in New Jersey, it's eye-opening when you see how much money you get when there's no taxes involved. So it's like, we're talking about like, I forget the number. It's somewhere, I think it's like 350 to 500, somewhere around there that we pay every month, and it's 20-year fixed rate. It's all incorporated into my mortgage right now, so that's why I don't know the number off the top of my head. But yeah, it's just dirt cheap in comparison to, a loan on a property because taxes are involved or escrowed with, your insurances and everything. And it's like, damn, 90% of what you're paying is not the property.
Off the top of your head, what do you ballpark the taxes were for that place, for that $500,000 property?
Very low. It's something we don't really like to talk about because we don't always like what's going on here. We were kind of like, damn, we were getting away lucky. We're not bringing the assessors in. We're happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
$8,200.
Ooh,
which is still like, for us, that's kind of like.
That's like close to what I'm paying for my small duplex. So that's awesome, man.
Seriously?
Yeah. Quakertown is where we're at is not super cheap.
You're paying $8,200?
No, I'm paying like $6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is
my house is less than half of what that costs. That's crazy.
Right. That is crazy. So that's
tell
awesome,
Sam.
man. We won't tell on you. So $495 purchase price, around $20,000 in rehab. What did it appraise as?
That's the magic question. $800,000.
Wow. I knew that already because I remember you telling me, but that's just.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Unreal. It's literally crazy. What were you guys expecting? Were you thinking in that ballpark?
Oh my gosh, I almost crashed the car when my uncle told me. I was like, whoa, we're like, okay, we gotta get over 78%. Oh man, can we do it, please? And he's like, I think that put us around like 650 or something. He's just like, oh yeah, so we got the appraisal back, and you guys are 800,000. We're like, oh, no way.
Wow. That's crazy. So
yeah.
Like what, the appraiser was just having a good day that day? Like you ran your own comps, you saw what things were going in the area, you're thinking, 650 is reasonable. What put it over the edge? I'm sure you didn't ask questions when they did it, but like, what do you think, like looking back in hindsight, what was that thing that did it for you?
A couple things. I walked through the property with the appraiser.
Nice.
Pointed out a lot of the, everything I did. I made sure to say this is what we did here, flooring, hardwood, everything's done, and I even talked about, what we put in, I made sure you knew that these were cork countertops and that these were solid wood cabinets. So looking back at it, I don't know if that helped or not.
I'm sure it did. And you're a nice guy, people being a nice guy definitely helps in that case.
Exactly. And the place was completely vacant at that point. So we didn't have it rented yet. Actually, no, it was in between rentals. So everything looked really nice, cleaned up and everything like that. So it was good timing in that aspect. And then I guess, going back to what you run the comps, I wasn't really running much comps on it because there weren't many multifamilies in the area, which I think also helped us big time because the town we were in, I mean, it's literally, we're on the other side of the train tracks. It's like a regular town on the other side of the train tracks, but up the mountain on their side of the train tracks, it's like filthy rich, like $2 million, $3 million homes. I mean, like professional athletes.
Oh, that's awesome. What a good
Wall Street
market.
people. So I think that played a huge part. And even more so, like when I got that appraisal done, there was still stuff I was doing in our unit. Like I put carpet in and I was like, okay, this is a mistake. I took it out. I put hardwood floors in. So I even bettered our unit since then. And this is 2 years ago now. So, I mean.
Wow.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So, okay. The value went up. That's just super cool. You put some sweat equity into it and you're able to pull that. Now, for long term, you're holding it. What's your expenses? What's your cash flow? How's this house producing for you? Your first one.
Yeah. So cash flow right now, it's about $2K a month. First floor unit is $2,600. Second floor is $2,800. So we're in good shape there. Our mortgage is $3,400, something around there. So.
And that's including the HELOC you took as well, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's all in there. Yep.
That's so awesome. Cool. So you were claiming residency there. How long did you live there? 1 year?
No, that one we lived there for 3 years.
Okay.
Just getting everything. Like I said, my wife was pregnant along the way. We were renovating. For whatever reason, we weren't really in much of a rush.
Sure.
And it worked out great because we got the equity in that context also. Just appreciation helped.
Right. So in those 3 years, you weren't cash flowing. You were paying a much cheaper mortgage. You're paying what, $1,000 a month or less for
less, yeah.
For a $2,600 apartment. That's
exactly.
That's super cool.
We were $500 a month, and literally I could be in the middle of Manhattan in under 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And a luxury apartment as well, from what you're describing it as. That's awesome.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah,
they're on bigger pockets. You can check them out.
I saw you. I think you posted them on Facebook, and I was like, you said you made them nice, and I was like, yeah, like I make mine nice too. And then I saw your post on it, and you did a very exquisite job. Like these are if you looked up a luxury apartment, your apartment would come up. It is really, really sharp. So 3 years goes by, you're paying super cheap, you're dealing with one tenant. How was that? Did you have issues? Did you have a lot of turnover? I'm assuming once you get into that luxury level of tenants, a lot of problems go away. Am I right in assuming that?
Yes, for the most part. Our first group of tenants ended up being college kids, which they were actually really good, but they were at the local school and no one was giving them a chance. They had co-signers, they had everything.
No way.
And they just they're paying a fraction of the price by living in our rental. So it worked out great for them. And, like I said, they had co-signers, so it worked out good. There was 1 or 2 nights where, they're getting ready to
keep it down up there.
Yeah, but they're always really cool about it. And at that point, we were actually living in the basement because the first floor unit had a walkout, as living space. So there was that space gap too, where, we walked upstairs one night. We're like, wow, I think they're raving up there. And then you hear whoa, we're going up. And then they hear Uber pull up and they all run out. And I'm like, all right, they're out of here.
That's awesome.
But other than that, they're actually really cool kids. Nice guys. The next group of tenants, they're there for 3 years, 2 years. Yeah, 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. I believe. They were great. Moved out, and now we have I guess middle of the crop, maybe young 30s professionals.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Roommates, but they're doing a good job. And the first floor is a couple nice people.
Did you have any issues with all the really expensive upgrades you made to the place, or did you do them pretty well when you did it the first time and it was just low maintenance, or how did that work out?
Yeah, I mean, if you do things right the first time, spend a little more money up front, less of a headache long term.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's really what I've been learning more and more. Anytime I could make things, it really comes down to bang for the buck. You don't go when you buy, gold sink handles, but, you buy ones that are sturdy and they're going to last over that, something from Walmart, or something like that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so
So
learn a lot of those trade secrets along the way.
Definitely. And I guess after all that, you did it again, right? So it must have worked out the first time you went back for seconds. How did that turn out? Was that another MLS deal for your second property?
Yes. So second property was MLS. I love this one because at this moment we closed on it, and my fourth son was born. So we're 4 kids and 2 dogs at this point, and this was the first one we acquired tenants in. So that was new to us. They're paying way below rent. So
did you have to serve any lease terminations when you bought the place?
Yeah, so they're on month to month. So the day we closed, I had my attorney send out letter saying, we're asking you to leave. They're pretty good about it. They left. You always do it 2 months out. That way,
Yep.
You have a full month notice, and then you have to do it at the end of the month. Some wacky.
Like that. 60 days.
It needs to be over 30 days, but
Yeah.
you do it 2 months to make sure everything's covered, type of deal.
Yep.
So yeah, we got into that one, and at that point we had, I already put in 2 kitchens myself. So I went to town in that unit. We were on the second floor this time, so that was a little different for us. We were like, shit, this is gonna be scary. How are we gonna do this on second floor with 4 kids? But you find a way. And that's such a message. Anyone listening, you will find a way. Just don't limit yourself to what you can't do. If you put yourself in the middle of the woods, you'll freaking survive. You'll find a way. And that's what it is. We were just like, we were scared at first, but we got into that second level. Walking up and down with the kids. The kids walked up the steps. We thought they were going to be tripping and falling. It all worked out fine. We ended up getting it done. But yeah, we went in there, went to town, renovated the place super fast. And within about a month and a half, 2 months later, we were moved in. At that moment, the lower level units, they were moving out. So I kind of stopped renovations on that second floor and fully focused on the first floor because same story. We had to get it rented as soon as possible. So, we're maximizing our return.
Definitely.
Went to work down there.
And you said you did it really fast, so you had to have hired some help for that process as well. Like, did you have any bad experience hiring other people to do work for you?
Not really. I had like a handyman that was a little sketchy, but he got the job done.
That's all that matters. I love sketchy.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's kind of a funny story looking back at it. I think he was on drugs or something at the time. But
paints the line straight.
And he wasn't there when the family was around. So
were you still flooring at this point, or were you getting more into real estate?
So along this whole journey, I'm still doing real estate part-time as an agent, helping clients along the way, stuff like that, friends and family. But I'm still a full-time project manager for the company.
Oh, today you still are?
No. During this process.
Okay.
Yeah. During the process there, I was full-time for project management. And so same story. I'm still working long hours, but that's always the little, I guess, caveat to all this, the multifamilies, is I like to make that comment of I love multifamilies with a family because my commute home every night was literally walking up the steps.
Yep.
So I didn't have to go to some fix and flip, 10 towns over or, in another city or somewhere else, or even renovating a duplex while we're in our single family. I'd get home, 4 o'clock or whatever in the afternoon, see everyone, kids would go to sleep, run upstairs, get stuff done. The weekends, they would come up and help. I kid you not. Kids
free labor, man.
A little bit, yeah. For real, like they love sweeping up stuff or like taking out some of the small garbage, any little odds and ends. I got pictures. I'll be posting some next week on my Instagram of my son painting the fireplace. He was doing a kick-ass job.
That's awesome.
So, we just any possible way we incorporate the family. And looking back at it, they've got so many memories. They loved it, the kids. We have so many memories. We go through our phones almost on a weekly basis. We're like, oh my gosh, you remember that? That's one of my favorite things to do. That's what all my Instagram posts are. They're all from I just go a year ago. I'll see what I was doing 2 years ago. I'll see what I was doing 3 years ago, and so on. And it's just, we're always doing something, renovating something in the house, and I just make a story out of it. And that's kind of where I'm at today. A lot of the clients I get are just from the story that we told. So I would say that.
That's such a a cool thought, because you said earlier how like, you know, everyone says, you know, do this before you have kids kind of thing. That's how I've been trying to do it. Like I'm trying to do this, get as many properties as I can before I have kids. But like the cool thing about your story is that like you have pictures and memories, and your kids have these memories of now like, no, I built this with dad. Like I remember, you know, the first time that I had to, you know, sweep up and paint the fireplace and like do those little things as a kid. Like anything's possible, and like by you like instilling that at such a young age is like just awesome. Like I'm like, you know, maybe we'll do, you know, something,
change up your strategy,
change
your
up the
timeline
strategy
a little bit,
or just like think about it differently, because like I wanted this process to be kind of like done, and like these endless nights and super long hours to be, you know, out of the way, but to be able to like do one with your kid, like really actually like incorporating them into the project would just be like cool. Because like I'd be, you know, I'm trying to do all this stuff and then become financially independent and find my passion later on and, you know, do all that. But like
that's something to share right now. You know, it's something that you can have a lot of experiences with. I like the strategy you picked, like the timeline of, like for me personally, when I picked up this duplex, I wanted to get the tenants unit done first and then get that rented out so I can start getting income as soon as possible. But in your situation, since you had the family, you needed to get your place done ASAP to get moved in. And then you had that super short commute where I was driving 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back every single day. So that's a different strategy of doing the exact same thing, just maybe bumping up a month. And yeah, that's a cool idea, you know, having that, sharing that experience with your whole family instead of just keeping it and dealing with that, all that wasted time of driving.
And it's still the same idea too, you know, like we wanted to get into that unit, you know, property number 2, because we wanted to have property number 1 fully rented.
Absolutely.
So that was really the idea behind that. And then exactly like you're saying, now we're here, we're together. I mean, it was literally like I walk down the steps, get stuff done, walk up the steps, hey everyone, you know, or I bring everyone down and we have a party.
So are you guys currently in number 2 right now?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. So I'm like in my head like, wait, I thought he did. All right, so
we got fast. We got fast at this now.
I know, that's so awesome. But the so you know, fast forwarding some, how's this property performing? What'd you buy it for? What's the monthly? How's it cash flowing now? The second property.
Okay, so this one's really cool in the context of that unit that was undervalued and everything. I actually just posted about this on my Instagram, how to beat Zillow, because look, I'm not a big fan of Zillow, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think any realtors are.
No.
But even if you're not a realtor, you gotta be careful because it does not add up. They had this place, their Zestimate is like $1,900. The tenants were paying $1,600 that were there. You know, they left and everything, re-renovated the place. We have it rented right now for $2,450. So we're $500 more than what Zillow's estimating it at. And, you know, what is that? A $900 increase in rent, 800, 850, something like that. So, what was cool about that one, though, is, and this is like the trick of North Jersey, is finding the hidden gems, making a property into something else. When we walked in, like, I remember just walking in, like, my eyes lit up. At the time, my wife's pregnant, so she's like, you know, it's tough to move around. And she's still chugging like a champ, going through all these properties and everything. And I remember looking at him like, look at the size of that pantry. This place had the biggest pantry, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, had a walk-in pantry with a window.
Wow.
I'm like, what the hell are you doing? So, you know, we turned it into a half bath, cha-ching, you know, raised the rent there. They had a sunroom. This thing was, it's not the biggest room, but it's a room, and we made it into a bedroom. So now it's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. The family has their full bath. They have guests over. They have a half bath for their guests to go to. Like, you can't beat that. Yeah. So that's how you do it in our market. And the same with the second level. The gentleman that was living up there, him and his father ended up building the house in the 40s. And so he's been the same owner it's been the same family for like 8 years or something. But yeah, he was living up there his whole life, and it was once again an illegal triplex zoned as a duplex. So
is that pretty common in Jersey?
Yeah, for us it was, but yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff like that. People, I don't know, it's just different mentality. I think people don't want to put the work in. They've had a property for so long, maybe they're sick of it. They just keep renting it out on routine. They're just doing what they're comfortable with. Where it's like, if you just spent a little bit of money, in some cases only 20K or something like that, you can literally have such a smooth rental property with no hassle that you can almost gift to your family members with a system in place. But instead, people want to have illegal triplexes, illegal basement bedrooms, and not our strategy. It works for some people, and I've got clients that do it to a certain extent. I don't ever recommend anything illegal, but
illegal activity is illegal, so don't do it.
Exactly. Like I said, to an extent, it's like I'll shut my eyes and you do what you want, but I'm not recommending it. But yeah, so with this one, we made that third floor. I guess it was kind of like his little suite. We made it into a luxury loft.
Oh wow!
So washer and dryer, same thing, both units. We made sure the washer and dryers were no longer in the basement. We put them into each unit. That's a huge part of making it a luxury rental. So yeah, we put the washer and dryer upstairs. We made it into a big barn door for the master bedroom. It has its own private bathroom and nice little hangout area. So during that process, my brother-in-law was living up there, so he was like my extra hand. So
that's sweet.
He's good in that aspect. But we ended up converting that third level into part of the second floor. So it became one massive 4-bedroom, 2-bath.
Nice. And what's that renting for?
$2,800.
Wow.
Nice.
So that's some cash flow.
and that one is a block away from the train.
Hell,
or from the bus. My apologies.
That's awesome. So, what's that? 5,200. And what'd you buy the place for?
$525.
Okay.
So that's your 1% rule, pretty much to a T.
Yeah.
And that's but
we hit 1%.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so now, going forward, how long did you guys stay at this place?
Only a year.
1 year.
We were there a year.
And then that brought you to where you're at currently.
Yep.
So what's the story with this final property?
Oh man, it's never going to be a final property.
Right.
This is it's a live and fix and flip.
Awesome.
So we wanted to get our kids settled with school and everything like that. Cash flow is now paying for the mortgage here.
Yep.
So we bought a property that we found value that we could add to it. Definitely some major updating and stuff like that. Standard hardwood flooring, new kitchens, all that kind of stuff. And it's just a really awesome property. So we love the property, but will it be our forever home? I don't know. We're definitely gonna have equity in it. That'll be more of an assessment thing come next year when we'll be in here for 2 years if we do decide to sell. But my guess is we probably won't. I think with where we'll be at, we'll probably just be purchasing a multifamily elsewhere.
Would it make sense at all with this property to rent or no?
Probably not.
Okay.
No, single families are so tough to rent.
Sure.
And especially what we purchased it at. This is more so equity long play. What we really want to do is put additions on and really dive deep into that aspect of things.
Awesome. So now you're a full-time agent. That was like the next thing after we talked about your deals. We wanted to just kind of dive in because you're, killing it with your branding. Like I always see your presence on Facebook and stuff like that. And it's like, like if I was in North Jersey, like Shawn's the guy. So how did that, you're part-time, you're doing your flooring thing, you're working part-time as a agent, you're starting to build your clients. Like, was the transition a hard one? Was it an easy one? Was it like, I just already have these clients and I don't have the time because of my job, I'm going to quit my job? Or was it like, I'm tired of my job, I'm going to, spruce this up?
Yeah. So with the job, a little backtracking on that, it's a family company. So my wife has ownership in the company. And going back to the whole real estate investing thing, our first investment property got a crap ton of equity in it. So we actually put that up as collateral to the business. So my wife really focuses on that. I still help out with sales in that capacity, but I have things systematized in a way where I really can be full-time in real estate and make sure that my clients are getting the attention they deserve. So being that it's sales on both ends, it just intertwines nicely where I'm definitely getting everything I need to get done to the fullest capacity. If anyone asks, yeah, I'm a full-time realtor, definitely, because I'm confident in how I'm,
Yeah.
doing up for my clients.
Did I did I hear correctly that your wife is now an agent as well?
Yes. So, well, she's in the process of getting her license. So she just has to get the test and everything going on, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, she's part of the journey. So
That's awesome.
it's great. I'm super excited.
Mm.
It's just, especially with what's going on with the EXP and everything, very low cap. So it makes sense for her. We'd be essentially one agent sharing everything. So it's really nice in that capacity.
Oh, that is cool. So you guys have would she be on your team or is it like
Yeah, we're technically a couple.
oh, so
That's how it's
that,
looked at. So we're a shared cat.
that's really cool. Do other real estate companies do that?
Some do, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Normally not as favorable.
Yeah.
I would, for me, I'm pretty sure this is one of the more favorable. Everything tends to be more favorable with us. It's just, that's why I'm at this company because, yeah, it's just an amazing place to be.
Right.
So, but I can't say yes or no to what other companies are doing.
Yeah.
Because there's so many out there.
So like a little backstory about how me and Shawn met. I'm on Bigger Pockets. There's like a post about does it make sense to get your license and be an agent? And I'm like, well,
Yep.
you don't have to be an electrician to do some electrical work. You don't have to be a painter to paint your house. Like you don't need to be those things to be a landlord. And like you don't need to have your real estate license to be a landlord, but it's one of those tools that like you can use to your benefit. And I posted that and you reached out to me and you're like, Jake, cool story, man. Like, you want to talk on the phone? And I was like, yeah, it's like, sure. And, we had talked about that I was with Keller Williams and then it was expensive and I was really only wanted it for myself at that point. Like what I was doing, like I think I did 2 deals with my license active and then I did like 2 referrals because I switched because it was cheaper. And then we talked and you're like, dude, EXP is actually super cheap to get on board. So like for anyone who's listening and is thinking about getting their real estate license, because I know a couple are because they've been reaching out to us, and I've been preaching that EXP is probably the best place for hanging your license if you're just starting. Like if you're just, you don't want to be a full-time agent, which like at this point I don't, and like you get 100% on your commissions for your personal properties. So that's like not the same at a lot of places. And you can do 3 a year. The split then is 80-20 for all the other deals, which, if you went on to Keller Williams right now, brand new, no deals behind your belt, you're looking at maybe 50%. If you go on a team, even lower for a deal.
The prices every year as well, aren't they way lower than say like
way lower
other more popular companies out there?
Yeah, the sign-on fee was like $100 or $150. I forget what it was. But then like monthly, it's like $80.
Wow.
Where like Keller Williams was like double that at least, and like charging me for my voicemail box at the office that I don't go to. Like it was like crazy. Like there was like fees for everything. And
exactly.
And Shawn made this sale to me, and then he's like, talking about the incentives, like why he's reaching out to strangers on Bigger Pockets about like coming over, and it makes a lot of sense. Like you form this tier system where now every person that you bring on, every sale that they do, you're seeing a little profit sharing. The person who recommended you is seeing even more profit sharing. Like the way that it's set up, it's like encouraging everyone to just keep helping everyone else get more people in, because it just makes the most sense. It's brick and mortar.
Exactly.
It's not brick and mortar. It's all online, which like that's all anyone's doing right now, and like they're just killing it. Like,
do you have your own office, Shawn, to meet clients at, or how does that work with you?
Right here.
That's awesome.
So what's awesome, one of the biggest misconceptions about EXP Realty is that you don't get an office, but you actually do. We get Regis memberships, so that's super cool. There's Regis locations all around the world. There's one super close to me. I still don't go. When I was at KW, when I was at another company prior, I never met anyone in my office. I either met them at a local coffee shop, at the house, now I just do Zoom calls, which is so cool. I'm
Yep.
with clients, every day on Zoom, get to meet them there. And then, it's really comfortable when we see face to face at a house. So yeah, I mean, the office, some people want it. That's fine. It is there if you need it. But I do not per se have a brick and mortar office that I actually go to.
Yeah, and like with
Really
that
cool.
membership, like you can have the conference room. They have like scanners and printers and like tools that like you might not have starting out. That now this resource allows you to still have it. And, you got to drive there, but you'd have to drive to the store. So it was an easy sale to me, but it just makes the most sense for anyone that's considering. That's a Shawn's been we're working together on like setting up those meetings and like and Shawn will be there. Like Shawn's gonna, because he brought me on. The guy above him brought him on. Like everyone's eating from it, so it's all like we just keep helping each other grow and grow. And Shawn gets more of a percentage on someone that I recommend, so he has this incentive to make me bring someone else on. And it works so well. So Shawn's not like, oh no, like make sure I sent you. He's like, no, make sure Jake sent you. So it's just, it's cool. It's like, I think it just makes, yeah.
Is it similar to how other companies, more long-term companies, like say Keller Williams or something, how they're set up?
That's a great question. And believe it or not, the model is actually taken from Keller Williams. They did not trademark it. It's not like we stole it or anything. It's a model that they implemented. The biggest difference is what they implemented is called profit sharing. What we implement is called revenue share. So the biggest difference with that is profit sharing. That number can be skewed.
Absolutely.
You can adjust the profits. Like let's say you have an office and maybe the printer breaks down. Printers aren't cheap, but
do a little Hollywood accounting.
$100K at the end of the month. Well, yeah, exactly. So we're gonna buy a new printer, or a lot of sketchy kind of crazy stuff. So now all of a sudden that big profit at the end of the month is not so big anymore. Revenue share, on the other hand, is fixed. It's a calculatable number. So you can really track it and determine what it's going to be. Where I know people in this company that know what the revenue share number is next month, and it's jaw dropping. Absolutely inspiring. And these are numbers where it's like, whoa, that's a hefty amount of cash. Some big time stuff. So the sky's the limits here. It really is. And that's kind of like what I love about it. Like I came from an investment background. We're investors here. We look at the numbers. If you analyze this company, and one of my coaches, Hank, I think he was great. He's a wonderful coach of mine. He puts it in this perspective of math versus drama. If you do the math around what EXP is offering, I mean, it makes sense. A lot of people are like, I love my brokerage. Susie's great in the office. John is like the best broker. He's so nice. He gets me like chocolate every time I bring an agent on.
Right.
That's drama. When you look at that, that's drama. If you care about your family, if you care about the agents you're with, if you really care about their future, and this isn't a greed thing. I'm not saying that all the money I make at EXP, I'm buying a luxury yacht with and sailing around the world. You have to realize you can choose to do whatever you want with it. You're making percentages. I mean, there's people that, you can work 100% commission year round. There's people doing it. Or you get to your cap where you're 100% commission. There's agencies that don't even offer that. Their best they get to is a 90-10 split. And it's like, just imagine if you had that 100%. If I'm not a greedy person. Okay, well, imagine you had that 100% commission and you donated 10% of it to a local charity. That's not being greedy, is it?
And that was another big selling point to me, because it was like, that aside, like the numbers just make the most sense at EXP. That's separate. The main thing that was like, or no, that's the main thing. The other thing was that I don't want to at this point, and I'm looking to hopefully in the future, I want to start working strictly with investors and focusing my license in that direction. And I can't wait to do that and help more people find their dreams. But like the whole reason I'm investing, the whole reason I'm doing, buying these properties, taking the risk, doing all this stuff is for the passive income, for that ability to be financially independent. And through this system and through this model, I could focus, instead of focusing my energy on selling houses, I can focus my energy on talking to people who are also agents, also looking to become agents, and get them on board through this process, and like off of their deals that they make, or the people that they refer off the deals that they make, or the people that they refer the deals that they make, like, is just creating passive income.
I mean, especially with like the hole that was blown into standard real estate agent business, like their core business was the same model that Keller Williams has been using for years. Now all of a sudden you can't talk to anybody in person anymore, and you got to do everything over Zoom, have 3D tours of houses where people don't want people actually coming in their houses. And now all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, why am I paying so much money for this building I'm not allowed to go to anymore, when I could just sign up for an entirely virtual business plan, have the number just dialed down extremely because there's not all those unneeded costs anymore, have a clear cut, no Hollywood accounting revenue share program. So it's all clear cut, there's no real question marks. There's nothing hiding behind a curtain. You get a incentive to bring more people on to the company with the getting a cut of their sales. That just makes sense. Even just getting current real estate agents onto the company. Yeah. It's just, it's clear as day for that. As all like taxi drivers are getting replaced by Uber, it's just the way things go. It's just the next step.
EXP was first in line. Like the EXP had these systems in place before it was a necessity. So it was like, I'm now just getting familiar with all the tools and like the world and, all the different, stuff that EXP has that Keller Williams or, any other company didn't have, that like, wow, this makes doing this stuff online way easier. So like, that's what you're forced to do, is do it online. This is the easiest place to do it because they have the infrastructure there. And like,
it's a little more technical though as well, for sure, having to deal with everything on a computer instead of like shaking hands at the coffee shop, signing papers. I'm sure you still do that, of course, but like with Zoom adding on to it, I'm sure there's a lot of old school realtors who have never touched a computer in their life and have their, secretaries and everything do everything for them, print their emails for them to read. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
whatever, they want to do that. That's fine. All I can say is this. Go back to our second investment property. How I got that property, my wife and I were in New Orleans. I closed on it, or I got the offer accepted while we were in our hotel room, and I did the paperwork for the listing agent because he had to go back to his shop to scan something. I was like, no, dude, I'll do it right here. We opened up my computer. I did DocuSign on our Sky Slope. It was so cool. So I'm like, as a client, when I work with clients, that's what I bring to the table. I can give offers on the spot. And it's like, well, if you're a client, well, why do I care about your revenue share and the stock? We didn't get into the stock. Well, how much more focus do you think I have for you, knowing that I'm not here to worry about like, oh, I have to get this next deal done. I have to get this next deal done to survive. It's a no pressure mentality here, where it's like, you're not in that constant like, oh, I got to close on this client. I got to close to pay for the groceries or whatever it is. So there's so much going on here. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I would say if anyone's ever interested in learning more about it, reach out to Jacob, reach out to myself. More than happy to freaking help you guys along the way, because it's so cool. And look, even if you're a newer investor and you're considering getting your license, I mean, we got solutions for that. More than happy to have that conversation and talk about it, because it really, all I say for me is my closing costs, they're free via commission. You get a $13,000 check. My closing costs were between 9 and 10K in New Jersey. So that's pretty cool. Knowing that you don't have to pay for your closing costs.
Yeah, that's one thing not too many people talk about when they do these deals. Like, oh, I did 15% down. Yeah, plus $13,000 in closing costs. That's a chunk of change right there. But yeah, so that's really cool. And I like how that, right. I like the technology though is taking over, and I don't see this going anywhere but up. In the future, it's just going to get more efficient. They're going to have more infrastructure set up to work with people remotely. And I know, like say on Bigger Pockets, they said that the real estate game is expanding, so that with this change to going remote with DocuSign and Zoom, you don't need to really like be in a specific area anymore to sell somebody a house somewhere else. It helps to be able to know the place and walk through it, of course, but it's going to expand the borders a little bit there for sure. So that's
Caleb's
really cool
going to be getting his license pretty soon. Right?
I'm going to have to, because the money I'm giving to the agents is
crazy.
Buddy.
Come on.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll go on in.
Shawn, I want to thank you again for giving us your time, and I wanted to, final closing for anyone who's like thinking about investing, thinking about getting their real estate license, like what's like, any couple little pieces of advice that you have, like any books, any, resources, any, just tips in general that might be helpful that you maybe wish you knew about.
Sure. I mean, bigger pockets is what you make of it. I got on there every day. I committed to things. Commitment is huge. Just commit to something. If you commit to anything in life, it doesn't have to be real estate, it can be whatever you want. You're going to get results if you stay at it. For me, I stayed that commitment to bigger pockets. Through bigger pockets, I remember hearing Brandon Turner and all the guys on there were always saying you want to educate yourself. So then I committed to audiobooks, to reading books. Tony Robbins type stuff has been a huge influence in my life.
Best
The
books.
Obstacle is the Way by what's that?
Best books. What are top 3 books?
Yeah, my top 3 books. Oh man, it was Obstacle is the Way is huge. That was absolutely huge. I was listening to it on repeat every night just to get in the mental zone to do this, and then I'd go put it on again just to listen while I'd be renovating the units. So prior to the units, when I was installing floors, I was listening to this book. Huge, absolutely huge. Compound Effect and 1% Rule, they kind of go hand in hand, like the same ideology. Absolutely great books. 1% increase every single day for a year, you're 30 times greater. That's a big takeaway from the 1% Rule. Yep. Great book. So it's like, just stay at it. Whatever it is you're doing, stay at it. Another great one I was introduced to recently was The Infinite Game. Absolutely great book. Don't worry about tomorrow necessarily. Like, where are your plays? What are you doing? Are you doing something right now that where you want to get a return tomorrow, or you want to do something maybe, you don't see much of a return for the next year or two, but 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you're raking it in, or whatever it is, or you're in a comfortable spot. That's kind of what it is with real estate. Anyone look on edge is looking to get their license and they want to be successful as a realtor. It's not overnight. You don't just come in like I'm a realtor and everyone just flocks to you. You have to work at it. You have to go at it.
Absolutely.
So you want to get that mentality, Infinite Game, where you're playing the long run. You don't want to get a bad client. Like one bad client, like you do. And what I mean by that is you make a bad client by not doing your job. That one client can really ruin you. But you make one amazing client, that one client could set you up for a very long time. So, I mean, you got to play that game where you're not just going to go get a deal done to get a deal done. You want to make sure your clients are happy and everyone's winning at the end of the day because, you're playing the long game here. So
I just wrote both of them down. Like I searched them, or I knew the compound effect of 1%. The Infinite Game, Simon Sinek, he did a TED talk or something that I've probably listened to 10 times. Like I'm not even kidding. Like awesome, I didn't even know he wrote books.
He's great.
So that's definitely going to be probably, I'm going to start listening to it tonight on my way home from Caleb's house.
Nice.
So
there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah,
man.
dude. Hey, that's another advice, man. Anytime you can listen to an audiobook, turn off the radio, listen to the audiobook.
Yep.
I love that one.
Yep.
When I was going to work, audiobook. So.
Yep, and when you're
Great
working from
secrets,
home too, I'm sure you work from home now primarily, correct? You're all work from home now? Because that's what I got changed with the pandemic.
Yeah.
I got switched to 100% work from home, and you lose that commute, and all of a sudden that's 2.5 hours, at least for me, of books that just deleted. So you have to have an active mindset towards to create that time again to either read or listen to books because I'm sure a lot of people now are working from home
every night.
Yep. It's really important to, make that time because otherwise you're not going to just find it during the day.
Yeah. I kind of do a little morning ritual. I'm up at about 5:30 every morning and I'll start with the same little YouTube video. And then right after that,
what's the YouTube video?
Into an audiobook for 30, 40 minutes.
What's the YouTube video?
Another great one. A great one by my coach, Hank. It's motivational. I always forget what it is. I type it into my YouTube.
Every day.
Motivational. Oh, crap. I looked at the wrong one. I was the wrong one. Come on,
It's got to be super important if you listen to it every morning.
Yeah,
I really want to
I
know
don't
what
want
it
to say the
is.
wrong one. I feel unbroken motivational. It pops up. So I listen to that, and then normally there's one that comes on after it. That's really cool too. And I just get in the zone. I just do my real estate stuff at, I'm at 5:30 in the morning, just whether it's send out cards to clients or, just getting stuff done. So I'm up at it early, but getting that mental mindset is so huge. Everything you do is mental. It's just a mental game.
100%.
So I got one last question for you from myself. We kind of waited till the end for this one, but I don't know if you read Tim Ferriss's book, Tribe of Mentors. One of the questions really kind of stuck out to both of us, and we had a whole podcast on it, so we like to ask our guests this as well. And what is if you can remember your favorite failure that you've had in life?
I guess it depends on how big or how small. That first property, it really was life-changing for us. It made 0 sense, but we're so grateful for it. I mean, these things could have panned out. Oh, geez, I can go into the next one. Like, we had offers in on multifamilies that even in that context did not make sense. And the fact that we found the properties that we ended up finding, absolutely grateful for it. But, I would probably say, definitely that first property, making that mistake. Because if it happened some other way, where we found maybe a property we liked a lot more, maybe we wouldn't be here right now.
Exactly,
or
yeah.
It just fell into place in the perfect way where we actually hated it and we couldn't live there anymore.
That's awesome, man. That's perfect.
Yeah, getting that start, like you did walk away with money in the bank, it wasn't, who knows if it was a profit, but it was money in the bank. So, you definitely didn't lose all the skin in the game. So that's really cool.
So, all right, man. Now, again, thank you for setting aside some time tonight for us and
really
sharing everything you shared with us. It's super cool, and I think people listening will really appreciate it. So stay yourself, man.
Yeah,
You're the man.
Guys.
Yep, and you'll probably be hearing from me soon. I'm going to want to know some more about EXP, so keep your ears out for it.
Definitely, man. Hey, by all means, we'll have that conversation. Anyone out there, please reach out to Jacob. Please reach out to myself. We're happy to have that conversation. We're professional with it, man. We'll get you everything you want to know. It's life changing.
Absolutely.
Where can people find you?
Instagram or Facebook. Instagram is definitely more my investment side of things. Facebook is more like my local, family stuff. But Instagram, it's Shawn Sells NJRE.
Awesome.
New Jersey Real Estate.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, Shawn. Thanks for coming on, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Peace.
Cool, guys.
See.
Pleasure.
For
Have a good
sure.
one.
You too.